Adam, let's look ahead to tomorrow afternoon/evening in the Smith Center, Carolina and Wake Forest. Of course, first time that we've seen the Tar Heels since the disappointing game last week in Dallas against SMU. Just to pour some salt in the SMU wound, the Mustangs played Clemson in the midweek and couldn't shoot straight and lost to the Tigers and really had a tough offensive day. So, Adam, this is an important game. The reason I think this is an important game is you're at home, and you've got these two games coming up where anything goes on this West Coast trip. I have no feel for what's going to happen to Carolina on this West Coast trip. I think Carolina is better than the two teams it plays, but you're going out there a long way. Stanford is better and had a really big win over Virginia Tech in the midweek where they had almost a miraculous comeback to win that one in Blacksburg. Cal got beat pretty badly by Virginia in the midweek, so those two will flip and play the other ones and then go back home. So you've got this kind of uncertainty, long trip, good teams, two big games. This almost feels like you're serving in Wimbledon and you've got to hold serve here. Wake Forest is certainly a capable team. They are 10-6 overall. They have lost 3 of their last 4. They did beat Virginia Tech in Winston-Salem this past weekend. But the more recent results other than that were a major loss at home to Vanderbilt, who's very, very good this year. Loss in Raleigh to NC State by 13, where they scored just 57 points. And then a loss against Miami, also at home, where it was a competitive game, and Miami made a couple plays at the end to get the victory, 81-77. But Juke Harris can really score. I mean, he's averaging nearly 20 points per game. So, Adam, you've got another perimeter player who's a high-scoring player. He's not necessarily the point guard like Boopy Miller was for SMU, but a guy who is going to have the ball in his hand some and can really score at different levels. I mean, he's a 33% three-point shooter. He shoots 77% from the line, so he's able to score in different ways. This is a Wake team that, despite 6 losses, a lot of their losses have come to good teams. I mentioned the 3 recent losses. They also lost to Oklahoma pretty handily, but then they lost to Texas Tech by 1. They lost to Michigan, who, as we know, is really good this year. They lost to Michigan early in the season by 1 in overtime. So, Adam, I feel like this is a pretty talented Wake Forest team that can score. I think Carolina should have the advantage in the post, but I thought Carolina should have had the advantage in the post against SMU and didn't really have an opportunity to take advantage of that. And so how all that shakes out is going to be important. But I do know with Carolina playing at home with a difficult road trip, in fact, 4 of the next 5 are on the road for Carolina, feels like a game that if you're the Tar Heels, coming back from a disappointing effort last weekend, at home, tough road games upcoming, man, you need to be able to get this one.
Wake Forest could do anything from now until the end of the season. You never know, a team might catch fire or a player might make a big improvement or something. But if you look at what they've put on paper until now, they are the definition of an average to above average ACC team. They beat all the teams they're supposed to beat. They lose to the teams that are better than them. And their best wins might be Memphis or West Virginia or Virginia Tech. Those are the 3 pretty good wins that they have. But if they play a Michigan, they lose. If they play a Texas Tech, they lose. If they play a Vanderbilt, they lose. If they play on the road at State, they lose. So this is the kind of team you need to take care of at home. If you're playing Wake and Winston, then you'd be like, you better watch out. If you're playing Wake at home, you need to take care of them. They do force a fair amount of turnovers, but that's an area where Carolina's been very good this year. But you can't turn the ball over a bunch and give them easy chances to score because they're out running and shooting layups. You've got to defend Juke Harris. But this is the kind of team that this year's Carolina team should take care of and then move on to the next concern, which is going to California. And Stanford's got a really good guard.
Trevon Spillers, Miles Colvin, 2 athletic players kind of on the wing. Spillers plays a little more inside. In fact, he had a good game against Carolina last year, and Winston-Salem was a big part of Wake's win in the regular season. Of course, Carolina then won in the ACC tournament last year as these two teams split their two meetings. Adam, as far as Carolina is concerned, that SMU game against Clemson mean anything? I mean, was it they were incredibly hot? I mean, Boopy Miller was missing wide open 8-foot jump shots. Were they incredibly hot? Did it lessen your concern? Did it strengthen your concern? Was it just, oh, well, that's what happens when you shoot so well that maybe you come back down to earth a little bit?
I think every Carolina fan watched that game and thought, of course. We knew this was going to happen. SMU spent a couple days with everyone telling them how great they were and how they were the Showtime Lakers. Then they had to go on the road to Clemson, which I'm guessing like SMU players kind of know about Clemson, but don't know, oh, Clemson has a legit good coach and it's a tough place to play. And they walked in there and they're like, oh, wait, you guys aren't impressed. We're ranked. We're SMU. We're ranked.
Right.
Clemson didn't care. And that was a little taste of kind of old-time ACC basketball where you think you're something and you go play somebody who you're not really sure about, and it turns out they're pretty good. None of it lessens the fact that SMU shot 71% in the second half against Carolina and 60% for the game. By the time we get to March, I feel like that's going to be an outlier more so for Carolina than for SMU because I do think SMU's got some pretty good players.
And they're good at home. SMU's very good at home.
Yes. I think the Tar Heels will make some adjustments defensively to make sure. I mean, surely that doesn't happen again, but something like that doesn't happen again.
What have Tar Heels been doing this week, Adam?
Had a couple practices, had a day off in the middle of the week. Then, so the first two practices were more like practice on us, as Hubert Davis likes to say. Then you have the day off, which is required by the NCAA. And then the Thursday, Friday practices are more practice for Wake. So you got a chance to make sure nobody's got any nagging injuries or anything like that, and then you can come out healthy on Saturday.
Hubert Davis on Monday, which, by the way, don't forget, you can get Hubert Davis live in the Carolina Insider podcast feed. So if you'd like to listen to the show after it occurs, if you're not just huddled by your radio at 7 o'clock on Monday night like Adam is, you can listen to it through the Carolina Insider podcast feed right there on your phone. You can listen in whenever you want. I thought it was Coach Davis, like he was kind of a balance of there's no need to freak out. It was one game, but also that one performance is not acceptable, and we will be looking at things defensively to see if there's things to improve on or different plans or more flexibility or something like that. Which felt right to me.
And I think there's some personnel decisions to make this week,
yes.
which I think the Tar Heels have worked on some. You need to put your best 5 starters and your best 8 rotational players out there who have produced the most. You have half a season of data at this point. So I think those are things that have been looked at also.